I think there are two aspects that I'd like to really call out. The first is that naturally revenue grew quite dramatically by 68% because of the addition of NetDimensions in the second quarter of this year. But I know that our investors and shareholders are most interested in underlying organic growth as well. And I'm delighted that that was a lofty 33%. And if you break that down, about a third of that came from our CSL contract. That's been much publicized that we won that in late 2015. We did all the work to create the curriculum in 2016, and there was a small amount of revenue that accrued from that at the end of the year. And now it's being delivered in line with our expectations. So the revenues are beginning to come through. But the other element of that organic growth, apart from a small amount of FX gain, was all delivered by our core businesses, most notably Preloaded, Gomo, and Rustici, that have had exceptionally strong years. But what's reassuring about that is that I believe that that growth for those three businesses will continue into H2. But alongside that, we've already declared to the market, we had a very strong sales wins, 50% up in our Leo business in H1, and that's going to flow through to revenue recognition in H2. So you'll see the Leo join the growth curve for the second half of the year. So all in all, we're very happy with the strength and robust nature of the growth in the group, and it's nicely diversified across a number of businesses. The other aspect that I find particularly reassuring and exciting is that naturally, when we made the acquisition of NetDimensions earlier this year, we were predicating part of the thesis of doing that on the fact that we could make significant cost savings and deliver sensible software company margins. I'm delighted to say that we're almost exactly 6 months into that process now, and we are virtually there, but we know for certain that we are there. It's just that we have a small tail of costs that are still going to be reduced in the final part of this year. But we can now reassure the market that we are going to be able to deliver a very significant EBIT margin to that business during the full year of 2018. So those are the two call-out aspects of our results that were just announced. Yes, naturally, whenever you make an acquisition of this nature, it was a large addition to the group. It brought new capabilities and strength, but we also felt that there needed to be a certain amount of transformation and restructuring to that business. So it has been through a challenging time. We have reduced the size of the workforce in certain areas. We have changed the approach to the way that we deliver certain services. Most notably now, our customer service team is located in America and Europe rather than the Philippines. We felt it was very appropriate to have them in the same time zone as the majority of our customers. And likewise, we've relocated hosting, or in the throes of relocating hosting, from Hong Kong and the Philippines to Nashville in the States. And we're also taking it from the existing hosting providers and migrating it to Amazon Web Services. Those are two big changes that cause a bit of disruption while they're being undertaken, but we see a great deal of customer benefit occurring from those very shortly. So those are exciting and new. In terms of the way we approach our sales, we have removed the marketing function from within NetDimensions itself, and that's now in our central LTG capabilities, leveraging off the central size and capability and expertise that they have. We've also done that with other central services like HR and IT support. All of that is integrated now and is bedding down nicely. Our new sales approach is led by a new global sales leader who was already in the group, but comes with a lot of learning management systems, company experience, and he transferred across virtually immediately. And we are beginning to see notable benefits of him leading that sales team now. So overall, the business is settling down nicely, but one must recognise we put it through a fairly challenging and slightly disruptive time whilst we were doing the changes. But I'm very pleased that the other thing that I mentioned is that the cost savings and the margins are now accruing, and we will deliver those in full from next year. According to plan. So our partner KPMG is now much more directly involved than we are in running the contract in terms of interacting with the customer. And our major duties began to tail off towards the end of last year when we delivered the entire curriculum. And we now are in a situation where we take a share of the revenue based on the risk that we took last year. And astonishingly, because one can never quite predict these things accurately, we were very close to our prediction for the half year. So the revenue is accruing in the way that we expected it to. There are a number actually. In Leo, notably, I particularly like contracts where you are able to leverage some work that you've previously done successfully for a customer. So when we acquired Lime, one of their largest contracts have been working as a partner of KPMG again for the NHS Leadership Academy, and they had done a very large program with some very complex multifaceted learning within it. That program was very celebrated in the UK government and is now been acknowledged elsewhere, and the Health Service of Ireland has now worked with KPMG to deliver that program to the Irish Health Service staff, and we are repurposing and reformatting that program and localizing it for their use. That's a really interesting and exciting contract. There are many others within Leo, but some of them we can't talk about the customers, but major retailers, a couple of luxury brands that are really pushing at the boundaries of what they can do with the technology. We're really excited about, particularly in terms of mobile learning. On another note, talking about pushing the boundaries of technology, we do believe that virtual reality and augmented reality will have a big influence on the way our learners learn in the future. But we've been fairly skeptical about how quickly that would be adopted. There are small pockets of use, but it's not general. What we're most excited about at the moment is that we're doing some, not what you'd call corporate learning, but some really interesting contracts that are challenging using the best of the technology and are very prestigious. So a couple of examples of those are we've won a contract with the Tate Modern Gallery. They are launching a new Modigliani exhibition in November, and they're doing, I think, what is a very brave and exciting thing where they'll have a cafe located within the exhibition in one of the halls. And this won't have a lot of decoration to it. It'll be quite austere because you'll go and sit at a cafe table and you will don a pair of virtual reality goggles and earphones, and you will be immersed into an experience whereby you're taken back to a Parisian cafe of the 1920s where Modigliani painted, and you'll be able to look at the paintings on the wall, the provenance and history of the paintings, and learn a lot about the artist. And I think that'll be a really interesting use of VR, and we're very excited by that opportunity. Another one which is not quite so close to being finished but in production is a contract that Preloaded has won with the BBC and Google in partnership with them to produce a virtual reality learning program that is supporting the launch of their new Blue Planet television series about the sperm whale and the bioecosystem that where they live in the Pacific Ocean. And that's a really exciting and interesting project. I've seen some of the early work that they've done on that. And these are pushing at the boundaries. And what we're thrilled about is our customers will be able to see the sort of exciting, interesting opportunities that these new technologies present to them in terms of the way they want to present learning to their audience. So yeah, that would be those would be the highlights for me at the moment. So we're calling it coordinated rather than cross-selling because it's very much about, it's not just about one of our sister companies selling the other's services, it's about thinking about a coordinated approach. And it's also respecting and recognizing that there are some barriers and limitations to that. So there are some natural relationships here. You'll be unsurprised to know that Leo, our main services company and consulting company, delivers bespoke services to our customers, but also works very closely alongside Gomo to deliver multi-device authoring tool services as well. So our customers often make their own content and use Leo to make some custom content as well. That's the most obvious pairing. However, that pairing is now developing into a pairing between Gomo and NetDimensions because learning management platform customers are also interested in an authoring tool alongside, and we're doing some integration of the two. You know that we have an investment in Watershed, which is a learning analytics company, and they are working very closely with Leo and other companies within the group. And we're spending quite a lot of time later this year with the managing directors of all the businesses, and our main focus is on removing the barriers and difficulties with getting coordinated selling moving forward. And we're working towards a strategy whereby that will be our focus for 2018, and there'll be quite a lot of incentivization programs around it. I think that will be a big driver of organic growth next year. Yes, I can give an update because when we bought NetDimensions, I think we quite rightly said that the senior team would focus very much inwards and not think about acquisitions. Two things happened. One, we did that, and certainly for Q2, we were utterly focused on that. And I have only just begun to lift my head and consider the possibility of further acquisitions. But what was quite strange is because I think that the transaction itself increased LTG's profile, I found that there was quite a lot of incoming material that came to me about possible acquisition opportunities because new boutique corporate finance boutiques and houses were aware of us and were on their radar. From that, we've seen some interesting opportunities, and we are actively pursuing, but at no advanced stages on anything. What I can say, though, is that we're really excited about our opportunity to make some fairly significant acquisitions, not of the size of NetDimensions, but still material, without needing to go to the market. So our net debt position is well within what we expected it to be. We've always said we won't borrow more than twice our EBITDA. And at the moment, we have significant headroom to our facility with Silicon Valley Bank. So we should be able to finance our next couple of acquisitions from our own resources, which of course makes them very earnings per share accretive. So we're excited by the opportunity, but we're not yet at a stage where we'll be announcing one.